Welcome to Geography Nuts. We are pleased you choose to learn about Nicaragua with us. Please stay as we find Nicaragua on the map and learn about its history, geography, economy, people, and their cultures and more. Nicaragua is the land of lakes and volcanoes. Nicaragua is named after Nicaragua tribe and aqua, Spanish word for water, pointing to the two large lakes in the area. Nicaragua is the largest country in Central America. It borders Honduras, Costa Rica, Pacific Ocean, and the Caribbean Sea. Nicaragua is a unitary republic. For administrative purposes, it is divided into 15 departments and 2 self-governing regions, which are located on the Caribbean side, called North Caribbean Coastal Autonomous Region and South Caribbean Coastal Autonomous Region. Both covers almost 45% of Nicaragua. Managua is the capital and the largest city, located in the southwestern shores of Lake Managua in the department of Managua. Managua's population is just over 1 million. This blue, white, blue tri-band flag is inspired by the flag of Federal Republic of Central America. The blue stripe originally represented Pacific Ocean and the Atlantic Ocean. However, nowadays they stand for justice and loyalty. The white stripe in the middle symbolizes peace. Now it stands for purity and virtue. This is the one of 2 national flags to have purple. Look at the rainbow carefully. It has a purple line. The other one is Dominica's flag. The bird has purple on it. Coat of arms has an equilateral triangle shield, stand for equality. 5 volcanoes inside the triangle represent the union and brotherhood of all 5 Federal Republic of Central American countries. The red Phrygian cap stands for liberty, white race and the rainbow symbolizes peace. The gold word surrounding the emblem says Republic of Nicaragua, Central America in Spanish.
Geography.
Nicaragua covers the area of about 131,000 square kilometers. It has 3 different geographical regions. First, the Pacific lowland, mostly flat, fertile land, except for a row of about 30 volcanoes between the Gulf of Fonseca and Lake Nicaragua. Some of these volcanoes are still active. Western Nicaragua sits on the Ring of Fire, where Cocos Plate and the Caribbean plates collide along the Middle American Trench. This caused all these volcanoes and earthquakes in the Pacific lowland. Amerisk Mountain, a triangular central highland region with the elevation between 1,000 to 2,000 meters. The western slopes are dry and suitable for agriculture, while the eastern slopes are among the wettest places on earth. The Mosquito Coast or the Caribbean lowland. The soil is generally infertile, mostly covered in pine and palm savanna. Fertile soils are only found along the rivers in the area. 2 largest freshwater lakes, Lake Managua and Lake Nicaragua, are located in the Pacific lowland. They are connected via Tipitapa River. Lake Nicaragua is the largest lake in Central America with the area of over 8,200 square kilometers. The river that carries the largest volume of water is San Juan River. This river flows from southeast corner of Lake Nicaragua to the Caribbean Sea. This deep, navigable river forms a boundary between Nicaragua and Costa Rica. Longest river is Coco River at 750 kilometers length. It is located in the northern Nicaragua and make up part of the Nicaragua-Honduras border. However, Rio Grande de Matagalpa is the longest river entirely within the Nicaragua, with a length of about 430 kilometers. Highest point in Nicaragua is Mount Mogatan in the north-central highlands with a height of about 2,438 meters. There are many steam vents, hot springs, and boiling mud pots are located southeast of the town of Telica. Scientists are studying the geothermal activity causing these phenomena to see whether it could be providing possible source of energy for the region. Nicaragua is home to abundance of biologically significant and unique ecosystem. Nearly 20% of the land is designated as protected area. Bosavas Biosphere Reserve in the Atlantic Lowland protect over 7,300 square kilometers of La Mosquita forest. This is the largest forest in North America.
Climate.
Nicaragua has two seasons, wet and dry season. The rain period is from May to November and the dry season is from June to October. The Mosquito Coast get most amount of rainfall, up to 510 centimeters per year. Hurricanes have caused severe damage in the past. The most recent and devastating storm was Hurricane Mitch in 1998. In Nicaragua, temperature is affected more by elevation than the season. In flatland, daytime temperature is around 29 degrees Celsius, where in the central highlands it can be 21 degrees Celsius. In the very high mountains, temperatures can approach freezing in the nighttime.
History.
Based on the archaeological evidence, Paleo-American settlement started about 8000 BC in the Caribbean coast. By 1500 BC, Nicaragua was fully settled. Spain claimed the area in 1522 and started colonizing, but they soon realized Nicaragua was in wealthy land full of gold as they were expected, so they stopped colonizing further. Spanish occupied the Pacific coast, so British claimed the Caribbean coast in 1740 and named it after its people, Mosquito Coast. Nicaragua got its independence from Spain in 1821, then became part of the Mexican Empire. That lasted only 2 years. After that, Central American countries formed United Provinces of Central America and became one country, which lasted about 15 years. But in 1838, Nicaragua finally became a republic. Tension between two cities, Leon and Granada, increased after it became republic and finally ended in civil war. With the support of Leon's liberal filibuster, William Walker, a US citizen, became a president of Nicaragua in 1856. But within a year, other Central American countries banded together and drove him out of Nicaragua. Managua, halfway between Leon and Granada, became the new neutral capital in 1858. Up until then, depending on who's on the power, if it's liberal, Leon is the capital. If it is conservative, Granada is the capital. They switch back and forth. Nicaragua was relatively at peace from 1858 to 1893. Great Britain returned Mosquito Coast back to Nicaragua in 1860, but it remained autonomous until 1894. In 1893, with the military coup, Liberal took back the power and the unrest started. United States interfered and occupied Nicaragua by claiming they are there to protect US interest. But the real motivation was proposed Nicaragua Canal. The Samoa family came to power as part of the US engineered pact. They administered the country under the dictatorship for almost 43 years. An earthquake in 1972 destroyed Managua. Rather than helping, Samoa dynasty siphoned off relief money from other countries. As a result, Sandinos forcefully took power in 1979. Initially they were good, but over the years they didn't care about the people either. So the Corona War started by the rebel. Reagan administration helped and CIA supported the rebels. The war spiraled out of control. Several members of the Reagan administration were convicted of felony charges in the International Court. Finally, the Civil War ended in 1990, and Nicaragua is quietly recovering.
People and culture.
Nicaragua's population is about 6.5 million. Mestizos account for 69%, white represents 17%, Afro-Nicaraguan account for 9%, tribal Native American represent about 5% of the population. Geographically, about 4 million people live in the Pacific lowlands, 2 million people live in the Central Highlands, and about 500,000 people live in the Caribbean coast. Religion plays a significant part in Nicaragua's culture, and it's given a special protection in their constitution. About 58% of Nicaraguans are Roman Catholic, 22% of them are evangelical, 16% of the population consider themselves as non-religious, and the remaining 4% belong to various other religions. Spanish is the main language. Nicaraguan Spanish has many indigenous influence. Some Nicaraguans replace S with H when speaking. Although Spanish is spoken in the most part of Nicaragua, it varies. The vocabulary and the accents varies region to region. On the Caribbean coast, indigenous languages, English-based Creole, and Spanish are spoken. The Mosquito language, spoken by the Mosquito people, still exists. Nicaraguan culture has a strong music and religious tradition, influenced by European cultures as well as Native American sounds and flavors. The Pacific coast, deeply influenced by Spanish, has a similar culture to other Spanish-speaking Latin American countries. The Caribbean coast culture is similar to the other British territories like Jamaica, Belize, and Cayman Islands. Unlike the West Coast, indigenous people in the Caribbean coast have maintained their identity, and some speak their native language as a first language. Nicaraguan cuisine is a fusion of Spanish and the indigenous food. Traditional cuisine changes from Pacific coast to Caribbean coast. Pacific coast, the diet includes local fruits and corn. In the Caribbean coast, they make use of the seafood and the coconut. The most popular sport in Nicaragua is baseball. Boxing has grown in popularity. Other sports include football, weightlifting, and swimming. Nicaragua's homicide rate is less than other Central American countries. According to Government of Nicaragua, overall homicide rate is 11 for every 100,000 people. The homicide rate in Southern Caribbean Coast Autonomous Region is high at 19 per 100,000 people. 3/4 of all Nicaraguans live in less than $2 a day, and 80% of the indigenous people, which count for 5% of the Nicaraguan population, live on less than $1 a day. Almost half of Nicaraguans live below poverty line.
Economy.
Nicaragua's currency is Cordoba. It created in 1912 and named after Francisco Hernandez de Cordoba, one of the Spanish captains who captured these lands. Nicaragua's GDP is $36 billion. World Bank ranked Nicaragua's GDP as 124th out of 192 countries in the world. Nicaragua is the second poorest country in the Americas after Haiti. Agriculture represents 15% of the GDP. They produce coffee, banana, sugarcane, rice, corn, tobacco, cotton, and more. Manufacturing accounts for 25% of the GDP. It includes food processing, chemical, machineries, metal product, knit and woven apparel, petroleum refining, and mining. Service sector accounts for 45% of the GDP. Tourism has been growing 10 to 15% yearly for the past 10 years until the COVID-19 pandemic. Remittance account for 15% of the GDP. Closer to $1 billion are sent home by the Nicaraguans living outside of Nicaragua. Nicaragua's main trading partners are United States, Mexico, Honduras, China, Guatemala, El Salvador, and Costa Rica. Woo! You made it. This is the overview of Nicaragua. Hope you were able to learn something new and enjoyed watching this video. Please consider subscribing to our channel and don't forget to smack the like button. The next country we are going to do is Costa Rica and then Panama. I'll put the link to all the other Central American countries that we did already in the description so you can watch and get to know them too. Have you been to Nicaragua or would you like to go after the pandemic? One thing that surprised me about Nicaragua is the homicide rate. It is lower than Panama and Costa Rica. For some reason, I thought that those countries were the safest. I guess it's not. I'm learning something new every day. See you guys later. Bye.